Hello, it's Oliver from Flowworks again. I'd quickly like to show you a second part of the system, which I'm hoping you'll find very interesting. It's called the Media Archive or the Flow Archive. That's basically a user GUI for editorial users. As you may have already gleaned from the document, the Flow system is quite an encompassing system, so it has an awful lot of functionality. But then again, most users are not techies, so they are people who just want to deal and handle the media content. They do not really want to be concerned with the technology. So basically, they don't really want to see it. So let's have a look what that surface looks like and what sort of functionality it offers. So I've opened up the Flow archive. I hope you don't mind the German wording here. I've picked a group which has German wording. Of course, we can do this in any language. The way this surface is built, you basically have panels. You've got 5 panels. In the middle here, you've got your search and find. Then up here on the top right hand, you've got some metadata about a file. Let's pick out a file. So I'm opening up this file by simply double clicking. I can see a preview video, etc., etc. And now what else do I see? I can basically give this file any metadata that I want to. The structure of the metadata is, of course, totally individual per tenant. The metadata could be multi-language, German, English up here. Then I might have some information about the media. So this reads me some quality information about the source file. Then it will give me a list of what we call formats, meaning I've uploaded a source file, but then there have been 2 or 3 transcodings. There may be different cut downs. There may be different language versions. This video could be accompanied by a couple of stills, photography. It could even be accompanied by a contract, let's say. All of that could live in this little formats folder. So you end up having all of your media content and all of the intelligence around it, meaning metadata, meaning accompanying files, in the same shoebox. Now, what else can I do with the media content? I've picked out a video I did some additional things. So I'm looking at the video, obviously I can play full screen, as you can see here. Then I've got some additional features down here. One being, you can see down here is, you can see there's a time code here. If I'm letting this run, I'd like to comment on this time code. I simply click here and you can see it's taken out the time code, and I can say it's too long here. So I want this timecode based comment saved, and it's already told me who that was. That was me, and I did it today. And I said, at this timecode, I think it's too long. So a craft editor who I'm making this for, could be something like an EDL, with a simple click, it goes straight to the exact point, and you can see the markers that I've set for him to maybe change the edit. What else can I do? I can, of course, set these markers and say, right, from here to, let's say here, I want to do a quick cut. I simply hit the little scissors and, oops, gone out of the picture there a little bit. I can simply create a subclip. Now, the subclip could be a new clip, which gets registered in the database as a new clip. It could be a subclip that lives under here in the formats thing, or it could just be an EDL information. So if I'm doing a rough cut as an editorial user, I could do this right here. I can, of course, attach various individual bits and bobs that I've cut out to each other and re-render them as a new file. Or I could transfer it onto an editing environment, craft editing environment, and I could do this using the same procedure. I'll probably go into that in more detail later. Then I can do stuff like rating if you're interested in that sort of thing. On the picture front, you can do cropping here as well. So there's quite a lot you can do in and around the individual media content. Let's move on a bit. What else have we got in here? We've got obviously an upload. I'm not going to show you that now because it's a very simple browser upload. There are numerous ways how to get material into the system. Browser, FTP, could be a network connection, could be Signiant, could be an Aspera, etc., etc. So all of that is familiar with you. Obviously, if I upload via browser, I can also add some metadata. It's not a very pretty one. or I can create a placeholder by creating a new empty clip, which basically means I don't have a clip yet, but I already have a title, let's say, and I can start creating that and add material as it comes in. Another panel up here is called projects. Now, the idea of projects, I think this could be quite important because it is with a lot of customers, is quite simple. It's little yellow folders on your desktop. So if I'm going to create a project, I can simply call it something like London, just for argument's sake. I can then say, who's a member of this project? Well, I'm going to say all of these people are. I'm going to save that. And then I can fill that project either from my desktop by simply dragging and dropping items into that folder. And of course, what I can do is I can say, oh, okay, I've put some stuff in here. Ooh, but I think I need a subfolder now. So I'm going to create a subfolder and I'm going to call that raw material. And hey presto, there's your new subfolder. Let's say I want to do a second one. And I'm going to say edits as well. So now I've created a little project. And you can see I've got some items here in the top tier, but then I've got some sub tiers, and of course I can move items into the sub tiers if I so choose, and I can move them about. There are certain rules to doing this, but it's very simple. If I want to get rid of something, I simply hit the little X. That will take my item out of the project folder, but of course won't delete it from the archive. A last little thing I'd like to quickly point out, of course, on this view, you have your metadata, and of course you have your searches. Those are all fully customizable. It's very easy. You can do that yourself. And depending on those, you can very easily configure per tenant what this GUI looks like. Now, another little thing that I'd like to show you, of course, is down here is what we call the workbench. Now, we saw, I don't know if you saw it in the Device and Workflow Manager, how workflows are created. And hey presto, here are the same workflows again. So if I'm an editorial user and I'd like to send something over to Sky, I simply go under Process, select the workflow VOD Sky, put a file here and hit Start. You can't see that very well here, I'm afraid. Run out of space, there we go. If I hit Start, I would now be publishing this file to Sky, and I won't have time for that now, but there's a status monitoring surface as well, that if certain mandatory metadata for Sky is now still missing, the system will tell me that. It won't send the file off to Sky until I've actually completed the metadata. It's a basically status monitoring view where you can also filter for jobs, for delivery targets, for status of jobs, what's currently in transcoding, how long is it still going to take, etc., etc. So things I'm sure we'll come to. The last stop, and I'm in a bit of a rush, is the showroom. Very important, I think. The idea of a showroom is I want to communicate with Michael, let's say, that I've got a new file and I'd like him to approve it. So I'm going to create a showroom called Michael. I'm going to add my file. Let's add another file just for argument's sake. So I've chucked in my files. I'm going to open my showroom, and here's my showroom layout. I'm going to go for a layout room, and I'm going to add the items again. If I had more than two, obviously it'd be more fun. I can move them around, and now I can add some metadata. Hi Michael, this is for you. This is your showroom. So I'm basically doing something like making a mixture of Dropbox plus email, except nothing, of course, leads assistant. So I'm going to save that, and now I could enter Michael's email address, and so the system would send it out, or I could preview it. There you go. Hi Michael, this is your showroom. Again, I'll move this up. You can see it's got its own URL. So the system has gone and created a little microsite, and I can lock that, of course, and get Michael to log on before he gets to see anything. I can add functions to this room now. It depends which layout I choose, whereby Michael would, for example, be allowed to comment on a file, or might be approving a file, might be allowed to download a file, etc., etc. So you can see it here, various versions of doing this. The basic idea is like the navigation tool, it's a transportation tool. And it comes out of the system and it's fully automated. Of course, any comment that Michael makes, I will be seeing in the system. So you don't lose communication, you don't end up with 27 emails, and you don't know whether Smith has approved this or not. It will tell you in the system. Okay, so that was a very quick run through the Flow archive. That's what we call the editorial side of the Flow system. Thanks for your attention, and there's a